Hello and welcome to Hops and Bros. This week,
We're talking about Nelson. Not Nelson Mandela, the Nelson Sauvin, the hop.
For an open window on a crafty world, Max and Chris from Ups and Brews. Ups and Brews. Welcome to Ups and Brews.
Alright, so this week we're going to be talking about Nelson Sauvin, which is a New Zealand hop. But before that, Chris, a word from our sponsors.
Speaking of hops, Ecos, or fantastic sponsor, it's a brewery management software. And the reason why we were kind of like pairing that with the hops, it's because it's perfect for timing your hop addition. So Max, tell us how it can benefit a brewer or maybe someone that works in the tap room that could see what kind of hops is used in this beer. That's the way I see it on my end. So what can you add on this?
A big part of brewing is being organized and knowing what you're brewing in what vessel. Also, what you have to dry hop, what quantities, what your stock is, and Ecos is the best way to keep track of all that. You know, if you're dry hopping X amount, like a kilogram or something, it's going to take it directly out of your inventory. Take that out of your hands. It's gone because it's in the beer now. Also, personal experience. Right now I'm home brewing and we had 7 carboys the other day. It's crazy trying to track which beer's what and what time you have to do the addition and what's going on. Ecos can help you with that on a much larger scale.
So definitely,
Ecos.
yeah, definitely check him out. The link is down there in the description. Just go visit their website. You'll learn a lot more about them. So thanks, Ecos, for supporting the show. Back on the subject.
Nelson Sauvin.
Yes.
A great hop. Great hop. Mostly used for pale ales. I like to use them for saisons personally, but that's maybe just me. Probably not. Chris, where are they from?
They're coming from New Zealand. So Nelson Sauvin was developed back in the 2000s. We're speaking 19 years ago. So if you're watching this in 2020, it's 20 years old now. It's crazy. Crazy when I'm thinking about it because it's not, it hasn't been used that much here in America until I guess 10 years ago, roughly, something like that. I don't have the proper numbers, but it took a while until we got our hands on it here. But the name Nelson Sauvin comes from the fact that it's compared to Sauvignon Blanc, which is a white grape that grows in the New Zealand regions, and was known to give the same similar characteristic flavor-wise. Which,
yeah, that's the funny thing about this hop is it's extremely hard to describe well, and it does nothing that your conventional hop does, or at least nothing on paper. It's part of the New World Hop series. So there's 2 school of thoughts when it comes to hops. Sorry, Chris, I'm going to hijack your section.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Part of the New World says New World types of hops, meaning that it's not from the source. There was 4 source hops back in Europe, back in Germany, and then from there it kind of spread everywhere. And anything that comes from somewhere that's not Europe is usually classified as New World. So especially Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the States, it's all New World hops. Generally, very different than their spicy floral cousins from Europe. Please continue, Chris.
Yes. So the Nelson Sauvin was quietly developed as a Sauvignon Blanc characteristic up, but then it find its way here in America, find its way into pale ales, develop some passion fruit aromas, tangerine, a little bit of citrus. So it gained a lot of traction on the aroma territory, but it is known as a really good acid humulone. Like it has a really nice amount of humulone in the beer itself. So I think it's because it breaks down a lot easier into a beer. From what I remember from the other craft beer 101s we did, you spoke about humulone a little bit, and I think this is what Nelson Sauvin is. It's kind of like a super up.
A while ago.
Yeah, a while?
Yeah. That was a while ago, I think we talked about humulone. But yeah, so your hops generally have a couple different essential oils. Humulone is one of them. Yeah, I'll talk about this a little further. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unless that was my cue to start talking. I can do that too.
It's your cue because I
my
want
cue
you
to start talking.
I want you to
Perfect.
explain.
All right.
I want you to explain why this hop has been so popular on this end, like because of this specific acid level that it has. Because,
Yeah, well, it's been popular, especially because of the flavors and the aromas that it kind of packs. It's a little different than most hops we have in North America, as it's not necessarily citrus derived, or at least not directly citrus. It has that gooseberry flavor. It's got a very complex range of different flavors you can get from. Me personally, as I said earlier, I like in saisons because I like that white wine flavor that it gives a nice dry saison. It's not for everyone, and it's actually been used mostly in pale ales in America for some reason. If you check out Dominion City, I believe they have a beer out right now where they stuck. Actually, no, it's in one of the old beers. They stuck some Nelson Sauvin in there, and it's very good.
Yeah.
I like that hop. So it is used mostly for aroma and flavor, but it actually can do a very good job at bittering. So let's talk about cohumulone for a second here. So cohumulone is one of those essential oil compounds that will get broken down in your boil. And also it does affect your bittering when you dry hop a tiny bit. So the lower concentration of cohumulone, the less isomerized alpha acids you're going to have even during dry hopping. Because yes, it's very rare that you're going to get any bitterness while dry hopping, but it is possible. There's some essential oils that are going to get activated at lower levels, and that will affect that bitter feeling in your beer.
So in
bitterness.
On that point, this means that Nelson Sauvin has lower chances of hopping the bittering of your beer. If I understood the whole thing.
Yes and no. So what happens with your Nelson Sauvin is it's not a dual-purpose hop. It's a tri-purpose hop. It's going to be good at pretty much anything you put it in. It's one of those ultimate hops that is good at everything it does, or at least very decent at everything. Yeah, Nelson Sauvin. So it's good at pretty much everything it does, and the hop you use for bittering is actually really important. A lot of people think it's just, it's a bittering hop. Who cares? It's going to make the beer bitter. It's really not. You really want to keep an eye on what you use, because it's going to give either a very harsh bitterness that's kind of unpleasant, or in the case of Nelson Sauvin, it's going to give it a very, very mellow bitterness that kind of just rounds off those flavors. So yeah, it's a cool hop. It's a great hop. Use it.
I think when I first started drinking beers, getting into more IPAs and all that, Nelson Sauvin was kind of like the new thing, like the new kid on the block. A lot of people were trying out. It really kind of I think it kind of integrated that citrus, but also other nice aromas that you're not used to get in beers. And I admit, Nelson Sauvin is a really specific hop. And I don't want to go as far as saying that I can taste it from another beer and see this one has Nelson Sauvin, this one has not. But it has that kind of feature to it. I feel that I can maybe spot it in a beer. Not sure.
I would agree with you in the sense that I pretty much know when there's Mosaic in beer, Citra, Amarillo to some extent, Galaxy to some extent, and Nelson Sauvin also has that very distinct flavor that you can pinpoint in, especially in your dry hopping or in your late additions.
Yeah. I'm very pinpointed with Sorachi Ace too. Speaking of that,
Ace,
I just ate this hop. I don't know why.
It has that cheesy character, right? Sriracha Ace? Is that
kind of a cheesy dill finish.
Yeah. Cheesy dill. Yeah, it's not great. But we'll talk about this later, but intentionally using off flavors to create new flavors in beer, I think is something really interesting. We'll talk about it later. I don't really have anything planned for it, but if you're curious, leave a comment below.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know about my personal favorite beer I've ever had that was 100%, or to my knowledge, was mostly off flavors. That's interesting. Yeah.
Oh.
A little cliffhanger there.
Yeah.
Sprinkling some cliffhangers here and there. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and let us know in the comments below what you would like to see as a Craft Beer 101 next.
And that's pretty much it. You summed it up so well.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.